Hey, what's up? Matt Anderson from MattMediaPro.com. Told you I was going to do another review on the Sony NEX6 mirrorless camera. Well, here it is. This thing is really, my favorite camera right now. It's my go-to camera. It stays in my, camera bag all the time, or rather my satchel wherever I go. So you never know when you're going to need get a great shot. So this really takes some excellent professional shots. 16.1 megapixel APS-C size sensor, same size sensor that you'll find in a Canon 7D or 60D or a T4i. But this thing really does some amazing shots. It's small, as you can see. The form factor is right on point when it comes time for you to, take some real nice pictures. You can do so with this interchangeable lenses. If you check this out here right now, it comes with the kit lens, where I bought it with the kit lens, the 3.5 to 5.6, 16 millimeter to 50 millimeter kit lens. Again, it's not the fastest lens, but for something that you want to have in your pocket, it does amazing work. But as you can see right here, this lens has an E-mount. This is an E-mount lens that it comes with. So, let's go ahead and fire this thing up here and see what it can do. And, when you turn it on, as you see, the lens pops right up. And when you boot it down or turn it off, it just pops back in. It's a lot shorter than the 50 millimeter lens that you've seen in the past with other iterations of the NEX line, whether it was the 5R or the 5N. But nonetheless, if you got a pretty big pocket, or if you got a jacket pocket that you can put this in, it really fits right in there. It's very comfortable. And when we start talking about some of the things it can do on the back end, if you look at the monitor here, or the LED on the back, it's really bright. Of course, you can control your ISO here on the back with this little wheel on the back here. Your ISO goes from 100 all the way up to 3200, all the way up to 6400, past that all the way up to 25,600. Obviously, most folks are going to never use an ISO that's that high, but if you really absolutely positively have to get a low light shot just to be able to identify whatever it is in the shot, you don't want to miss it for moment's sake or whatever, you can get up that high. But I wouldn't recommend really going over anything over 3200, and of course that's even going to be a little bit grainy, but you can get some really nice shots even around 1600. You're going to be able to pull off some really nice low light shots even under around 1600, especially if you get an E-mount lens that is very fast all the way through, one of those fast 2.8 lenses, or 1.4 or 1.8 lenses all the way through. Now back to the LED monitor on the back here, or the screen. It folds up, as you can see right here, to 90 degrees, which is really cool. I mean, if you can fold up to 90 degrees, so if you really want to get like yourself a low-level shot like this, or you want to look down and be discreet in the way that you're taking the photos or the video with the camera, it's awesome. It goes up to about 50 degrees when you're folding it up. As you can see, it's about 50 degrees here. So if you want to get a high-level shot, you're doing a concert, or you need to get over somebody's head, you can do that. Also, it's good to note also that it is not necessarily a fully articulating arm like a 60D, a Canon 60D, where it folds all the way out like this, like a door or a book. So it does not do that. So you can't really do self-portraits. You really can't do self-videos or self-portraits. When we start talking about some of the other elements here on the back of the camera, you can look. There's the element here that says menu. Pop that out right there, and it takes you through all these menus on the screen here, which allows you to scroll across and rotate across to the other elements that you have here. For instance, the camera functions. If you want to be able to see what kind of camera functions you got here, your LCD display, your skin effects. You've got some in-camera effects that you can use. Face detection, which is kind of cool. There's a number of elements here that you can do within the camera. So you say, well, I don't necessarily want to use that. Image size, you can actually shrink the image size if you want to be able to connect it back to your phone, or you want to upload it to Facebook. If you want to upload it to Facebook, you can do so, because there is Wi-Fi capability, which we'll talk about in a minute. So you want to shrink the image size. Brightness and color, which is absolutely a kind of a cool feature here as well, I thought. You're able to control your white balance a lot more manually, or a lot more control than you would if you're just to set it to auto. And it gives you a little explanation. As you can see here, each one of these explanations pops up when you go to the item on this particular menu here. This is a camera that you can download apps from the internet. Play Memories is the particular app that I'm talking about. If you want to be able to, control your camera from your iPhone, you can do just that. But it's got picture effects, play memories where you can control your camera's ISO and aperture, and even fire off shots from your iPhone, from your smartphone. Now, it's a little frustrating because, you can't necessarily control the video. I'm sure at some point they'll come up with another firmware or some other app update where you'll be able to control at least starting and stopping video. So that's kind of, something to look forward to. But as of right now, there's not that many apps available. Now, as we look at this particular kit lens here, there's a couple different ways that you can focus. One is this little button here on the side. And after using it for, about a month now, I found it's a little unusual, uncomfortable, but after a while you get used to it. You remember that it's there. This little slide here on the side, if you can see it here, this little slide actually controls your zoom function, but you can also control it from this wheel on the lens. It's also important to note that they've made some changes here, or one particular change when it comes to your flash mount, where you've got yourself a hot shoe here, and it's a standard universal size hot shoe. That's not the proprietary Sony one where you had to buy all the camera accessories or the flash accessories directly from Sony. Now you can use other ones, more standard options that you have out there. Now, there's also a flash built in, and it's not the brightest thing in the world, but it definitely is functional. So if you're 4, 5, maybe even 6 feet, you can get away with, from my personal experience, with a flash that's actually built in, and you're able to tilt it up, which is kind of cool. If you need to bounce it in a close proximity, you can actually tilt it up as well. It's not the brightest flash. Obviously, it's not a professional flash, but it will get you by when you need to make do. This will help you get through a clinch. Or even some fill light. Say, for instance, you're in a, between 10 o'clock and 2 p.m. on a really sunny day where the sun is right above you and the sun is flashing or shining down on your subject, and a person has, of course, the shadows under their eyes, and you're getting too much shadow on their face, you can use this as a fill light. So I think that that's kind of cool as well. Now, there are a number of other controls here that sets it apart from the higher megapixel, 24 megapixel Sony NEX7, which is, of course, that one has the dual controls on the top here. This one only has the single controls, but they're kind of built in. There's one on top of another. One can control your aperture here, and the other one is actually for your selection, your manual, your shutter priority, your aperture priority, your program, and all the way around it's got panoramic as well. So if you want to do a panoramic shot, this is kind of cool. When you actually hold it a certain way, it gives you an arrow here on the back that you can see, and it tells you which direction to go in. It tells you which direction to hold the camera in as you begin to take shots. And so, of course, you'll just hold it up and you'll go. And it just shot a bunch of panoramic shots of the room here, which is, is really awesome. And it basically stitches it together. It's not the most perfect thing. You really got to have a really clean plate to start with, or a clean look to start with. Didn't talk about video. Here on the back, right where your thumb is where you can control your video controls. So if I hit this button right here, pow, it's going to start shooting video. And you can see on the back here where it starts counting down, and you see your record, and it's actually recording now as we speak. It's shooting the inside of my hand, but and that's kind of cool. It's a little bit out of the way as opposed to where the 5N or the 5R was. The NEX 5N and 5R, their record button was a little bit close over here, so you can actually hit it a little bit more accidentally. So that's great. It shoots 24p, full 1080p, 1920 by 1080. So this is a great HD camera here if you want to be able to get some great video, and I've been able to pull off some pretty decent shots as well. So overall, I think this is a great camera. I highly recommend it. There's so much more to it that I could get into, so much more that you can dig into, but this is really something when you want to talk about time-lapse photography, you can do that as well. This is something that I'm really happy with, and I'm looking forward to some of the upgrades when it comes to apps, when it comes to more selection of EMount lenses that are very fast, 1.4, 1.8. The Sony NEX6, great camera, highly recommended. I'm Matt Anderson for MattMediaPro.com.